our bye week, very productive week for us. Obviously, we had an opportunity to assess and self-scout ourselves and get a good feel for what we are, what we put on tape for the first 4 weeks, and at the same time make adjustments to what we're doing, complement the things we're doing, add to the things that we feel we can do better, and take out the things we're not doing so well. Also developing depth. Certainly a lot of the guys that are playing support roles or secondary and third team roles, those guys got a chance to play a lot more in our systems, to play live, almost live football. We didn't go to the ground, but certainly a great chance for those guys to get better. Until we found ourselves 6 to 8 more players that can help us. And then some time to rest up as well and get healthy. So all in all, very productive week and on the road recruiting as well. And we did a lot of work on Georgia Tech as well. A team that we have a ton of respect for that has played some really good football. I know they had a tough game this past weekend, but it's not a reflection of what they are as a team and how we feel about them. Certainly a team that deserves a respect because of the teams that they have beaten head to head. Last year they had beat Duke and North Carolina and Pittsburgh, and this year against an excellent Wake Forest team, they did a great job against them. So looking forward to opening up conference play Saturday at Hard Rock. And questions, please.
Mario, Georgia Tech making a change at defensive coordinator coming into the week. How does that change, or does it change how you prepare for that at all?
It just leaves an unknown factor that you got to dig deep into that person's history, what they've done, where they've been, how they may tweak or add to the system, even though it's 5, 6, 7 days. There's still plenty of time where they can change things, and at the same time they've had a lot of success in their current system. So I'm sure it'll be a blend of some sort. But that being said, we're systematic on offense, meaning that we like certain things against certain things, but should we be in a situation where we do get some type of surprise look schematically, that rules take over. We're built on rules, so that if something shows up that's something we haven't seen, trust your rules and go execute. So the uncertainty is something that you just have to deal with and go play your best football.
Mario, you've spoken about you getting better at complementary football. Can you explain that a little bit, and why is it so important? In what ways have the Hurricanes shown that?
Well, I think we've been able to control the ball and at the same time put our defense in pretty good situations. And I think the defense has done a great job getting stops when they were in tough situations, giving the offense an opportunity to take control of a game. With our special teams issues that we had in week 2, we've addressed and gotten better. We're not entirely where we want to be, but we seem to flip the field pretty consistently. And that's hard to do. And that hidden yardage does end up being, a difference as it relates to each half. And we think in the vicinity of 6, 10 points. So that being said, we think that the physicality that we practice with on each side of the ball paid off. Bless you. That just all in all, our practice and preparation is more and more becoming our game reality. And we know that for us to be really good on Saturday, we have to be really good on Monday through Friday, but particularly on Tuesday and Wednesday when we're really going, a lot of good on good work, a lot of speed on speed.
To follow the same concept, is it also different aspects of one side of the ball that when you talk complementary, like receivers versus running game and stuff like that?
Well, we've done a pretty good job of running the football. We've gotten better at that. We've gotten better at stopping the run. So, we haven't run an extraordinary amount of plays in any particular game. Our play count is actually a little bit lower than we thought it would be. But that being said, the defense has done a great job just getting the ball back to the offense. And first and second down success has led to some fairly decent third down success. And area we're trying to get better at. We worked on in the bye week as well as red zone offense and defense. So I think the reason I think both sides of the ball are progressing is because of the way we practice, and we're throwing the ball better because our defense really challenges you to throw the ball better. Not only from a coverage standpoint, but from just a front, from a disguised coverage. You've got to get the ball out quickly. You've got to be decisive. You've got to be accurate. You've got to beat man coverage, and you've got to find soft spots. And when you work against each other like that, it typically results in some betterment as it relates to opponent play.
What have you seen from Georgia Tech's offense and their personnel on that side of the ball? Because it seems like a totally different group than last year.
Did a great job in the portal. They certainly they have up their level of talent, so they're explosive and they throw the ball as good as anybody, and they're very accurate in what and how they throw it, when they throw it, who they throw it to. They stretch the field vertically and horizontally. They do a great job with shifts and motions. Present a lot of eyewash to try to get you and catch you in some violations or whatnot. They do a great job getting that on the run game in the form of counter, wide zone, tight zone, slips, pitching the ball to the perimeter. They're challenging. Their change of pace presents some issues as well, and they do a great job up front. Coach Key's an offensive line coach by trade, so obviously that's an area of emphasis for them. They do a good job beating people up at the line of scrimmage, and they've done that this year.
Mario, you said you found 6 to 8 new players who will help you, which is obviously great. A, do you want to identify any of them? And if not, there's understandable maybe. B, just talk about how important that is, on a team that maybe didn't have as much depth as you wanted coming into the season.
A, not really, but they're. I mean, you could just imagine the guys that have been playing on special teams. They're just jumping there more. I mean, a guy that already was developing and playing well that has to be highlighted is Jaden Harris. I mean, that guy's. You want to talk about a transition, a transformation, so to speak, of a guy that was playing on special teams and maybe not playing with a lot of confidence in our scheme is now as dependable as any player on our football team. But, a lot of guys got out there, they got some time. Matt McCoy got a bunch more time. All the running backs have been getting time. The tight ends, they continue to progress. Riley's certainly getting a lot more time out there as well. Ryan Rodriguez is a guy that's getting more time. He deserves it. And then you look at the defensive line, all those guys play well. Thomas Core is really playing at a high level. Jake Lichtenstein's coming on strong. The emergence of Harrison Hunt, he was already playing, but his role becomes more prominent. The edge guys, Jaden Wayne, you saw him play, and that role has increased more and more. So that was A. I know you mentioned B. What was your B question? I'm sorry.
Address B with A, because obviously you have a lot more depth. But how important that is, just having all these guys now who can plug and play, who can do sort of.
Well, we're not at the depth we need to be. We're not. I mean, we have certain areas where the level of competition is better, and it helps that position get better. But we're not at that level of depth where the program should be. Let's just say that. That takes a couple of years to get to. Both from a recruiting standpoint, whether it be the portal, whether it be high school recruiting, and then development-wise. These guys, they got to live in the weight room, they got to change their bodies, we got to mold them mentally, physically, on the inside and out. But that's happening, and I think the best part about it is that the players are doing it themselves. Like the leadership council continues to grow and get better and stronger and much more proactive. That's a strong sign for us. So I think if you ask our players, they're all going to say the same thing. All we're focused on is getting better. We have an unbelievably the most important game of the year coming up on Saturday against an excellent opponent that we have a ton of respect for, and we need to go play our best football. So every ounce of focus for us is on getting better.
Mario, you said on the radio this morning that Kam is full go, ready for this week. How much of a boost is it to have him back in practice and back on the field?
Well, he's a game changer in a lot of different ways. And not only as a football player, as a teammate, right, encouraging others, helping others get better, build confidence in them. In the community, you see him, he's always doing something for the city, born and raised in, grew up in, loves, he's becoming one of those guys that's just super impactful, difference maker, in every sense of the word. So it's awesome having him around out there. It's tougher for the offense because he makes plays when good go on good. So, but it is, I know he was chomping, at the bit to get out there, and glad to see him out there helping.
Mario, we can go back to when you were self-scouting, just that process. Were there things that stood out to you as you kind of went through that?
Well, you want me to hand over a game plan, brother? You know what I mean?
Whatever you're willing to share.
Yeah, I can't do that. So lots of things that we always look at, whether we have tendencies in one thing or another, whether we feel that we are leaning too much this way as opposed to that way, right to left, pass to run, everything relating to our front stunts, pressures, all that stuff. So, and I think everybody, that's playing good football right now is doing a good job in self-scout, making sure that each week they make adjustments and compliments so that people can zero in on what they do.
Can you explain the process, maybe of the coaches, just how this whole thing gets?
Yeah, well, that computer, when was it, 25 years ago, when Exos, that system came into be, the computer data, the input is just much more. I mean, back when I started as a G, you had to write things down, and then you had to like take things on the wall, and almost like that movie, Beautiful Mind. You got all kinds of scribble, scrabble, you got to just dissect it and make some type of sense of it. And now, systematically across the entire country, football's come such a long way. You could run any kind of report as it relates to anything, field position, down and distance, field zones, personnel groupings, right? And all that stuff. So just like any team, nothing earth shattering. You take a deep dive during the bye week as to what you look like to others on film, because this is our first sample size, right? The first 4 games with 2 new coordinators. So it's important to take that snapshot because people will attack us a certain way going into the next 8 games or so. So that's what goes into that. And then, once the data is, we run the numbers, we run the different reports, you also watch the film as it relates to it. Where are you strong? Where are your deficiencies? It's not always what it seems like, during the course of the season. So you get to analyze personnel and where you can enhance things, whether it be from a speed standpoint, a power standpoint, a football IQ standpoint. So once you put all those things together, develop a plan, work on a couple different tweaks and things, and move forward.
Mario, do you expect Kam Kinchens and being back this Saturday?
We'll see, hopefully.
Okay, and then the other thing is student-athlete standouts. You guys tweeted out today,
Mhm.
Jonathan Dennis, Ray Joseph, Ryan Rodriguez, and Emory Williams. What are they doing right? How are they setting examples?
She's doing really well academically. Jessica Lopez is a difference maker for us, and her staff, they get after it. The cultures it's all in line now. It's the training room, the weight room, football, academics, administration. It's all being aligned, which is the most important thing, right? When you're trying to rebuild a football program, and that part of it, I can't brag on them enough. The turnaround GPA wise, the amount of diplomas that are already in hand on how many master's diplomas we are working on. And so she's made it very competitive in there, and she's made academics a fun thing, a high achievement mentality thing. And those guys this week just happen to stand out a little bit more than others in the form of the results of some of their tests and quizzes, class participation, involvement somewhere on campus. So she does a really good job selecting who those guys are, and when we do so, we take a top 4 and we make sure they get their due credit.
Mario, Elijah Arroyo, Zion, TreVonte, they all been working to come back for a while now.
Yeah.
How close are they getting to get
Yeah,
back?
we're real close. We're real close. You're always hopeful at the beginning of the season. We were maybe wishing a little bit too early back then, but now it's a reality. Now we're there. Where you could see, you might be able to see Elijah this weekend. Where TreVonte is not far behind. But we're there. We feel like we're going to have a bunch of these guys back and playing. The best part, they're going to be playing at a level where they can play at a high level. You know what I mean? Where their return to play process here has really done a good job. Joe Girardi and Adam, they get after. They do a great job. And Scavo too. Like a Jello, if I mentioned him.
What does that healthy Arroyo bring to the offense?
He's an excellent football player, great leader, speed, power, point of attack, just C-gap area, just true movement. In the passing game protection, he's excellent. It's like having an extra tackle. And then he stretches the field too. You've seen him. He's a guy that can do it vertically. He could do it in the flats. He could do the intermediate stuff really well. Contested catches, presents matchup problems. He's a real one. He's got a super bright future, and he's another one who's been chomping, at the bit to get out there. So we're fired up to see him. He looks great out there. So hopefully we'll be able to see some action this weekend.
A few more for Coach.
On offense, you've been more explosive, more efficient this year compared to last year. You've also improved with limiting negative plays and then turnovers. How much was that emphasized as well this year in terms of year-over-year improvement? And is that a hard balance to find, being explosive and?
No. I think whenever you put together a game plan, you're running your passing game, you have to make it as airtight as possible. it's got to have a very high percentage success rate as it relates to protection and as it relates to preventing a negative play. The statistics are staggering in terms of sustaining a drive when it's just 2nd and 10 as opposed to 2nd and 11. You know, it's that critical not to even lose 1 yard, you know, on any down, but certainly when it pertains to line of scrimmage and control the line of scrimmage and understanding who is blocking who, it's placed at a premium, always. The health of our quarterback, keeping him upright, presenting a favorable pocket where he can operate the right way, as well as making sure our running backs have a chance to get downhill. And should there be a numbers issue, a leverage issue, a free hitter issue, just because we don't have enough people, that there's an outlet, you know, there's a trouble, there's an access throw, there's an alert throw. They're all 3 different kinds of categories. I won't waste your time with that, but it makes it airtight. It gives you an answer and prevents you from running a dead play.
Mario, your thoughts on the ACC this season in terms of how the degree of difficulty goes up or if it doesn't because of divisions have been eliminated?
Only thing really, Susan, right now is Georgia Tech. That's all. I can't even tell you what after the next hour what I'm supposed to do. You know, we're that regimented because we have to be, because we believe in it, and we get the most out of ourselves, our staff, and our players when we do so. So we just feel we have a great league, and it's showing up, right? There's a lot of teams that are ranked top 25. There'll be a day that we'll be able to talk about them when we play those teams, but right now it's all about Georgia Tech.
It's early, but I think you're in the hundreds in penalties per game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like it's been an issue, or they have been maybe good penalties or acceptable penalties?
I don't think it's ever acceptable, and I don't ever want to rationalize, hey, they're aggressive penalties. I think that's a bunch of baloney. We've got to do better. That's an area that certainly we're not happy with at all, because some of them are very preventable, right? And so we've got to be more intelligent. We've got to be better coaches, and sometimes we just got to be less selfish, right? And get ready to play the next down, get the ball back, right? Do the things that good football teams do, right? Avoid the avoidables that can hurt you. So without a doubt, we're disappointing ourselves in that perspective.
What's the process in deciding when the team wears black?
What is the process?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
I want to know who's making the call. Adidas, you, like, what's the process there?
These are all behind the scenes discussions, you know. I mean, me wearing all black today is not reflective of that decision. I mean, the Johnny Cash look is like something that goes on and on all the time. Some of the players, Adidas did a fantastic job with those uniforms. The players wanted to do it, and our leadership council, along with some other players on the team, is something they really wanted. And we have one rule: make sure when you wear something different, you make it look good. You know, play to the standard. That's all that matters.
You mentioned Ryan Rodriguez a little bit already, but he's played quite a bit the last 2 games.
He has.
What have you learned about him, in that game match?
Proud of him because, coming off an Achilles, that's not an easy injury to come back from, especially in a position where you got to push off a lot, right? You got to generate power and movement. And, when you've got the ball in your hands, it's a little bit different, right? It's another element that you got to take into account, the most important element of football. Getting it back there on the snap count, making calls, making adjustments at the line of scrimmage that tie into everybody, right? 5, 6, 7, sometimes 8 blockers. So proud of him for his diligence, proud of him for his just commitment to becoming better at every part of his game, himself physically, a more dependable guy, and guys that are feeling more and more trusted. So I think his best football is ahead of him, and I look forward to pushing him and grinding him.
Thanks very much.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.